Good morning, all. Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Ioannou. I'm the Managing Director of MCTC. I would like to welcome you all to MCTC's webinar with the topic COVID-19 and food safety. I just wanted, before we even start with the webinar, I just wanted to make sure to emphasize that the information that we will share during the webinar that is related to the pandemic virus of COVID-19 is based on the information that we have received from the World Health Organization, WHO. And knowing that this is a totally new virus, it's still being properly analyzed by the global health authorities. We do realize that you have been informed of COVID-19 for the last couple of months, maybe excessively, but while we will explain as an introduction how COVID can be transferred and where it's coming from and what COVID-19 basically is, our primary aim during this webinar is not to analyze COVID-19 itself, as we're not the medical examiners, but concentrate on our core business and expertise, that is food. How bacteria basically transfer from and to food, the actions that we need to take on board the vessels, in our homes, as to protect ourselves, our crewmates, our families, due to lack of proper hygiene practices. On the technical point of view of this webinar, please note that the webinar is being recorded and will be launched in our MCTC's YouTube channel. The name of the YouTube channel is MCTC Marine Ltd. So you can basically take at your own time, you can go through the content again. You will also be able to post the questions which you may have after the webinar into the YouTube channel as well, and we will be reverting with our answers and so on. We're using Zoom, this Zoom application. You're able within the Zoom application to post your questions in the chat icon section, which you will find on the right below hand side of your computer. It will give you the ability to either post your questions for all the participants to view, or personally to me and the presenter, and I will be basically reading out loud the questions on your behalf. Whatever makes you more comfortable. If you don't want anyone to see your questions, just post it personally to me, and I will read it out loud on your behalf. Extremely important, please keep yourself at mute during the presentation, when we will allocate a few minutes at the end of the presentation to answer to any questions that you may have. Having said that, I am not the one who will be doing the presentation. Our food technologist, Ms. Christina Ioannou, will be doing this. Having said that, I would like to welcome Christina, and who will be going through the various topics. Christina, the stage is all yours.
Hello, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce myself. I'm a food technologist and I'm specializing in the area of food safety and quality. In our webinar, we will go through slides and we will see some interesting videos. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Just 1 minute to share my screen. In our webinar, we will discuss about COVID-19 as well as safety practices to avoid contamination. We will see in more detail what is coronavirus COVID-19, how easily does COVID-19 spread, what are the symptoms of this disease, how can we protect ourselves and others, simple actions to prevent the spread of this disease. We will see if COVID-19 can be transmitted through food, what is cross-contamination, what is the difference between bacteria and virus, key practice to prevent cross-contamination. We will see what can food handlers do and what can crew members do, and proper way to clean and disinfect different areas in kitchen. First of all, what is coronavirus COVID-19? COVID-19 is the infectious disease caused by the most recently discovered coronavirus. This new virus and disease was unknown before the outbreak began in Wuhan in December 2019 and spread around the world with more than 1 million confirmed cases on 5th of April. Today, the number of confirmed cases is more than 3 million and the number of deaths is more than 200,000. How easily does COVID-19 spread? In accordance with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, virus can be transmitted directly from person to person via respiratory droplets from coughing or sneezing. Also, it can be transmitted indirectly through contact with contaminated surface that an infected person has sneezed or coughed on. It's important to mention that virus can survive up to a few days depending on various parameters such as humidity, temperature, light, the type of surface. For that reason, it's important to stay 2 meters away from a person who is sick. What are the symptoms of this disease? The most common symptoms are fever, tiredness, and dry cough. Some patients may have pains, runny nose, sore throat, or diarrhea. Some people become infected but don't develop any symptoms. 80% of cases recover from this disease without needing special treatment. 1 out of 6 people becomes seriously ill and develops difficulty breathing. Immunosuppressed patients, such as elderly people or people with medical problems like high blood pressure, are more likely to develop serious illness. Generally, people with fever, cough, and difficulty breathing should seek medical attention. In the following slides, we will see how can we protect ourselves and others from COVID-19. Simple actions to prevent the spread of this disease. First of all, avoid direct contact with anyone showing symptoms of respiratory illness. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth before washing your hands. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue and throw the tissue in a washable trash. It's important to clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as door handles using a weak cleaning spray or wipe. Evidence in the literature mentioned that this virus can survive up to 72 hours on plastic and metal and 20 hours on cardboard. Other actions to prevent the spread of this disease: wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, as illustrated graphically in the figure, specifically after going to the bathroom, before eating, after coughing or sneezing. Another good practice: use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol if soap and water are not readily available. In the following slide, we will see how to clean your hands properly. Please remember to turn off the tap while washing your hands. As we have already mentioned, hand sanitizers can be used against infections. Alcohol-based hand sanitizers contain 60 to 90% alcohol. Most contain either ethanol and propanol, isopropanol, or a combination. Alcohol can be used against COVID-19 as they have the ability to destroy the envelope of viruses and the cell wall of bacteria. So for that reason, can be used against infections. We have already mentioned that by using can destroy coronavirus. Soap has the ability to destroy the fatty outside layer of virus. So by using soap and alcohol, you can destroy coronavirus. Two other ways to destroy this virus, by using bleach solution and by using hydrogen peroxide. In both ways, you can destroy the virus proteins as well as the genetic material. We will summarize all this information with an interesting video from WHO, and later on we will discuss if COVID-19 can be transmitted through food.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Thank you very much. Now let's see if COVID-19 can be transmitted through food. Do you think that it can be transmitted? Let's see. Currently, there is a lack of evidence showing transmission of COVID-19 through food. However, to remain on the safe side, the consumption of raw products with animal origin, such as unpasteurized milk or raw meat, should be avoided. In accordance with the Food Standard Agency, FSA, food safety and hygiene practices should be adapted in order to prevent the transmission through food. Specifically, cooking temperature should reach above 60 degrees of Celsius, taking into consideration that coronavirus is thermolayable, which means it's susceptible to heat treatments. What is cross-contamination and when cross-contamination can be occurred? Cross-contamination occurs when bacteria and viruses are transferred from a contaminated food or surface or food handler to food. For example, cross-contamination can be occurred when bacteria are transferred from raw meat onto ready-to-eat foods such as fruit and vegetables, resulting in foodborne illnesses. For that reason, it's important to keep separate raw and cooked food, cook thoroughly, and keep food at safe temperatures. What is the difference between virus and bacteria? It's important to mention that some bacteria might be pathogenic. However, some bacteria are not pathogenic. What I mean by saying pathogenic, I mean when you consume it can cause disease. Some pathogenic bacteria are Listeria monocytogenes, a specific strain of E. coli, E. coli 0157H7, Campylobacter. Listeria can be found in unpasteurized dairy products. E. coli can be found in raw meat and Campylobacter in raw chicken products. However, some other bacteria are not pathogenic. Specifically, bacteria belongs to the genus of Lactococcus and Lactobacillus. We are using these bacteria for fermentation purposes in order to produce dairy products such as yogurt, cheese. However, viruses in the most cases are parasitic, are pathogenic, and a food handler is needed in order to be transmitted. So a host is needed. Two examples of cross-contamination: handling foods after using the toilet without first properly washing hands. Another example of cross-contamination: touching raw meats and then preparing vegetables without washing hands between tasks. Key practices to prevent cross-contamination: Keep separate raw and ready-to-eat foods. Personal hygiene, particularly hand washing and handling practices, effective cleaning and disinfection procedures, effective management controls, and training. What can food handlers do in order to minimize or eliminate the risk of cross-contamination? Proper hand washing before starting work, before handling ready-to-eat food such as fruit and vegetables, after handling raw food, after handling waste, using the toilet, after sneezing or coughing, after eating, drinking, and smoking. Other practices to avoid contamination. Food preparation surfaces must be clean before and after use. Separate chopping boards for uncooked food must be used. Different colors for raw meat, for fish, for poultry, vegetables. It's necessary to be used in order to avoid cross-contamination. Make sure that vegetables, fruit, and salads are washed properly with potable water. Keep hot food hot and cold food cold is another good practice. Clean and sanitize as you go. Also, stickers can be used in order to separate the areas in kitchen. Stickers are provided to all vessels under MCTC management. In case you don't have stickers, please do send us an email. It's important also to wash dishes and utensils using gloves, warm water, and soap. Some other good practices to avoid spreading the virus on board: more frequent cleaning of commonly touched surfaces, such as door handles. Clean floors regularly with warm water and detergent. Later on, we'll explain step by step how to clean floor properly. Use disposable clothes when possible. Reusable clothes should be washed at 60 degrees after each use because, as we have already mentioned, virus is thermoliable, which means it's susceptible to heat treatments. Also, washing up brushes should be washed in a dishwasher regularly or clean with warm water and detergent after each use. It's important to use 2 buckets for mopping, one for rinsing and another one for detergent. Mops should be clean and dried after each use. Keep the toilet bowl, seat, and hand clean by flushing after each use and by using a disinfectant. Keep sink clean by using a disinfectant, and you can use food-operated bins in order to reduce the risk of contamination. What can crew members do when receiving provisions on board? It's important to wear personal protective equipment, gloves, and masks. Remove any unnecessary packaging and dispose into a waste bin with a lid. Remove from containers and place on a clean plate and dispose of the container. Cans can be wiped with a disinfectant before being opened or stored. Wash and package produce such as fruit and vegetables. And at the end, you have to wash your hands with soap and water, or you can use an alcohol-based hand sanitizers if soap and water are not readily available. CDC highlights some recommendations for proper cleaning and disinfectioning. It's important to wear disposable gloves when disinfecting surfaces. If reusable gloves are used, they should not be used for other purposes. So for that reason, it's important to have different pairs of gloves, one to clean a kitchen, another one to clean a room, etc., etc. Dirty surfaces should be cleaned using a soapy water prior to disinfection, and diluted chlorine solution can be used if appropriate for the surface. In the following slides, we will see effective cleaning strategies on how to clean properly a stainless steel surface, knives that came into direct contact with raw meat or, for example, pork blood, how to clean properly a freezer or refrigerator, and how to clean properly floor. Let's start on how to clean properly a stainless steel surface. It's important to use a detergent and a disinfectant. You have to prepare the solution as per manufacturer's instructions. First of all, you have to apply the detergent. You have to rinse away with water, and later on, you have to apply the disinfectant. It's important to wear gloves, safety glasses, and protective clothing. It's a good practice to have cleaning records in order to know how often you have to clean the surface and who is the responsible person. Cleaning records are provided to all vessels under our catering management. Knives also can be used. Again, it's important to use a detergent and a disinfectant. You have to prepare the solutions as per manufacturer instructions. In the current example, we are using knives. So you have to place knives into hot water at 70 degrees of Celsius for approximately 1 minute. You have to apply the detergent, rinse away with water, and later on to apply the disinfectant. In that way, you can sterilize the knives, and it's important to wear gloves, safety glasses, and protective clothing. Now, how to clean properly a freezer. It's important to use a detergent and a disinfectant. You have to prepare the solution as per manufacturer's instructions. First of all, you have to apply the detergent and later on then disinfectant. And it's important to wear gloves, safety glasses, and protective clothing. It's good to have also a cleaning record because, as we have already mentioned, it's important to know how often you have to clean the freezer. Now, how to clean properly floor. It's important to use a mop and a bacterial cleaner. You have to prepare the solution as per instructions. You have to apply the cleaning solutions onto the floor and rinse away later on with clean water and allow to air dry. It's important to wear personal protective equipment, and it's a good practice to have a daily cleaning record. If you are interested in seeing how to clean properly other surfaces or the surfaces that we have already mentioned, you can send us an email to learning/group1@MCT Consultancy, or you can click directly on the link in order to see our circulars online. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you very much for your attention and stay safe.
Thank you very much, Christina, for the information provided. Just for the information to everyone, I have just put down into the comment, into this chat section, I wrote down the email address in which you can also further inquire for the circulars, for the various ways of disinfecting various areas within your galley, in your public areas. All of that can be sent to you. In addition, we have already supplied that to Columbia Ship Management, which from their end, they must have sent it on board the vessels. If not, if you don't have it for any reason, just please send us an email and we will be more than happy to do that. We've got a few questions. We've got a question which was posted for everyone to view. We've got another 2 questions which was sent to me. The one which we've got here, let me just see from Mr. Vlad, is if we can the ultraviolet kill the virus? Mm-hmm. And can sun help to disinfect things?
Mm-hmm. Very good question. Thank you very much. Evidence in the literature didn't mention that ultraviolet or sun can help to disinfect things. As per WHO, World Health Organization, it's important to use bleach solution or hydrogen peroxide if it is appropriate for the surface, or you can use an alcohol-based sanitizer or alcohol with at least 60%, as they can destroy the fatty outside layer of virus. For that reason, it's important to follow the instructions from WHO. Of course, it depends on the surface. For example, the virus can survive on cardboard for at least 20 hours. So it depends on various parameters. As we don't have any evidence shows that UV or sun helps to disinfect, it's better to follow the instructions from WHO.
Mm-hmm. Very well. Well, me personally, I didn't really know what ultraviolet really means. I just Googled it as well while I got the question. It's electromagnetic radiation, basically, that it also can be transmitted through sun, if I understand correctly. I think as well, from what Christina mentioned, is that we're still looking, waiting for further information from WHO, if really the sun and the heat can actually kill this virus. We are based, a lot of you are based in the Philippines, where there is already temperatures of 30 to 40 degrees, but the virus is still out there. The same is here in Cyprus, where we're based at. We are now reaching 35 degrees Celsius. And I think there's no more evidence in this regard, as Christina has mentioned. It is extremely important to follow the guidelines of who and what was being presented by Christina today to make sure that we are on the safe side. I've got a second question here, Christina, which is a question I had as well in the past, similar to it. If vinegar can kill the bacteria?
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good question. Thank you very much. Vinegar. It's important to mention that the pH of water, which is favorable for bacterial development, it's around 7, which is neutral. By adding vinegar in water, we can decrease the pH of water, because the pH of vinegar is around 2, 3. So it's an unfavorable condition for bacterial development. We recommend this strategy for when we are washing leafy vegetables. It's a good practice. Mm-hmm.
Very well. So it's fair to say that it's a recommended practice, but it's not really being approved practice by who whatsoever. But I think vinegar is one of the things we've been using in the kitchen for quite long. Whenever we really want to wash and clean fresh vegetables and fruits which are coming on board the vessels or at home, it's quite a good practice to do. Of course, you all have the challenge on board the vessel that you get big amounts of fresh provisions on board. So if you start washing them all, then the shelf life of the provisions also being decreased. So it is a bit of a we need to balance out the information and make sure that we don't waste all the food by having washed them prior. But at the same time, we need to make sure that there's no bacteria and fruit. But for sure, they have to be rinsed. They have to be washed properly. If you can put an add-on vinegar, it's even better. And I've got one last we have one more a question from Mr. Noriel. Do you have tracking of food supply worldwide on how to handle supply in order to ensure that the provision is not contaminated?
Mm-hmm. Very good question. Thank you very much. We have prepared a circular on how to deliver provisions on board, and we provided this circular to all suppliers. When we place the final order, we attach also these circulars in order to make sure that we will avoid the contamination.
Yeah, that's very true. And whenever we do, beside the circular which we have sent to all the suppliers to follow the guidelines, we have, in addition, whenever we send a final order to a supplier to deliver the food on board your vessel, we again attach this into the email, and we are informing them again in the final order email on how to handle the provisions when they go on board, and so on and so forth. Extremely important, gentlemen, is that whenever you receive provisions on board and you see any type of mismanagement from the supplier, always mention this in the feedback form that we are sending to you after the delivery is completed. It's the only reference from us, because you are our eyes, right? I mean, we are relying on you when the provisions are coming on board. We rely on you on the quality and any mismanagement from the supplier, as for us to go back and discuss any challenges with the supplier. That's a very good question. I think it also I think it also makes sense to mention in the question is stated in the way that to ensure that the provisions is not contaminated by the virus. There are not any proof, like what Christina mentioned before, there are not proof evidences that the virus can be transmitted through food.
Exactly.
Right? We don't have that information. But of course, for example, what Christina mentioned during the presentation is that while you receive the provisions on board the vessel, maybe the packaging materials have been contaminated. That's why what Christina mentioned is that you need to take it all out from the original packages, store them properly, wash them properly, and then dispose the extra materials in case there are any contaminations on the packaging materials themselves. Like, I'll just give you a small personal example of what I do in a smaller scale. When I go to the supermarket, I know that food is not been proven to contaminate and transfer the virus. But the first thing what I do is that I dispose the bags, the plastic bags which I get from the supermarket. I immediately disposes. Then I hand sanitize myself, and then I start processing and storing the provisions away. Even small practices which we're doing at home, we should be doing as well on board the vessel in larger scales, right? Again, please, any feedback from your end on the live scenarios when you're on board the vessel will help us greatly. And I've got one more question here, Christina, is if the COVID-19 can survive at low temperatures like in the freezers?
Yes, this virus can survive at low temperatures, so it's important to cook thoroughly. As we have already mentioned, it's important to cook at 60 degrees of Celsius, taking into consideration that this virus is thermolayable, which means it's susceptible to heat treatment. So make sure that you will cook thoroughly food.
I fully agree. And I must say, this is one of the challenges we've been having, let's say, internationally, and that's reheating food and handling food properly and correctly. You know, we've been on quite a few vessels where we see, let's say, soup being just taken out of the refrigerator and not being brought to a boiling temperature, which is 100 degrees Celsius, for the bacteria to be killed, and then just basically warming them and giving them out to the crew to eat. Regardless of COVID-19, regardless of this disease, handling food correctly and reheating things up to 100 degrees Celsius is very, very important. Very well. Gentlemen, I don't have any further questions on the general chat group session. If you want to post another questions as I speak now, please do it, and we will be referring to it. Okay, I just got a new one. Can you please mute yourself? It would be fantastic if you could please mute yourself. All right. So the next question, Christina, is how long virus will still alive on cans? Because of cleaning, disinfecting of all the receiving cans of other packs are not looking practicable. So let's basically, Mr. Alexei is asking, we can't just, we receive on board the vessel now, I don't know, 200 cans of food, just going one by one and disinfecting them is not really practical. How do we deal with it?
Yes, it's a very good question. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alex. As we have already mentioned, virus can survive on metal surface for up to 70 hours. So it's a good practice to wipe the cans by using a disinfectant. Of course, I fully understand that it's not very practical to wipe all cans. So it's a good practice when you're receiving provisions to dispose of the main container, if it will be a cardboard. So you have to dispose of the container, and later on you can just wipe the surface of all the cans by using a wipe with disinfectant. It's not necessary to take one by one and clean it, but just make sure that after this you have to clean your hands properly.
So if I understand correctly, virus will still be alive on metal for 72 hours, right? So let somebody transmit, if let's say the one who delivers the food on board your vessel is contaminated for any reason, then 72 hours after that, the cans will still be contaminated by the virus. What Christina says, and I fully agree, is practically you can't just take one by one, but at least before you start, whenever you're going to go and pick one of those cans and go and open it and cook it, disinfect those 2 or 3 cans that you will be receiving. It's important to do that. I've got another question here from Mr. Nikolai. What are the requirements for additional ventilation and air conditioning operation of living compartments, or other spaces on board in relation to 19 propagation? So it's basically the air circulation, the air ventilation, the air conditioning within the requirements within that. I don't know if you've got an answer to that, Christina.
For this question, I recommend to have adequate air circulation. So it's important to keep a distance between person to person at least 2 meters, and it's important to have adequate air circulation. This is a good practice also for all viruses. I mean, it's not only just for COVID-19.
That's correct. This is a bit outside, let's say, the core business of food, but being involved, let's say, in receiving the information worldwide, we do understand that there has to be open windows more often than usual. There is a setting, we understanding the air conditioning units where the air is circulating more often than before. Let's say you can circulate the air within the air conditioner, let's say every 2 hours. So the air will be circulated, open windows, distances, disinfections, all these kind of things are the measurements which you need to take into. There is a very nice question from Noriel, which we are aware of that challenge. So I'll just read it out loud. Is many ships having difficulty of food waste disposal because some ports are not receiving waste. What is your recommended procedure to disinfect food waste?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. We recommend in that case to keep food waste at low temperatures, because in that way the low temperature cannot kill bacteria very fast. So you will decrease the bacterial development. So it's a good practice. And later on, you have to disinfect that you will place the food waste.
Yes. In the presentation of Christina, she did mention as well that the garbage bins need to be disinfected as well frequently. And this is a practice which we believe you need to do on a daily basis when you dispose your food waste out of the kitchen and even in the waste area on board your vessel. Please do try and disinfect it correctly. Again, there is no evidence that food can be transferred through, that the virus can be transferred through food. And there's actually not much you can do about it, Noriel. I would say it depends where the vessel is and if you can dispose based on MARPOL regulations. These are all kind of stuff that you need to discuss with your shipboard management, if and how it's the best way to get rid of those waste sooner than later. Summarizing, sanitizing the garbage bins, removing your waste at least 2 to 3 times per day from your kitchen, remove it outside into the garbage area, and disinfecting and cleaning your garbage materials and the bins regularly on a daily basis. This is definitely something. I've got one more question from Mr. Egon. Is how long the virus can live in the refrigerator?
It's another good question. A virus can survive at low temperatures, as we have already explained. So for that reason, it's important to cook thoroughly your food, just to make sure that you will kill this virus.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a similar question to the one we had before with the low temperatures, which we have already answered to. Gentlemen, there is, I don't know, you should be aware of it already, that you are eligible to undergo for free a course on board your vessel, which is called Safe Food Handling and Nutrition course. All of your vessels, they must have received a USB from MCTC, in which there are some designated area stickers which you can post around in your galley. This will help you to avoid cross-contamination. One of the issues and one of the challenges we see sometimes when we visit ships is when people are having raw food next to ready-to-eat food, and the bacteria have been cross-contaminated. This is something you really need to take into consideration. It was explained through the presentation of Christina. In addition to that, the modules and the theoretical modules of the course are also covering very interesting information about general food safety management. We're also sending on board the vessel food safety management campaign newsletters, which are also covering good practices. These are all information which we need to look into outside of the virus story, you know, because now we all started thinking about hygiene and nutrition and sanitation only because of the coronavirus. But this is something we should actually be having part of our lives already long before this virus even appeared. But I think it's a good chance to take this seriously. Please do go through the course. As soon as your registration, you will also get a certificate from the course, which is an MLC 2006 certified certificate. It's good for your CV as well. Guys, just go and do the course. Again, we will be posting this video into our YouTube channel, MCTC Marine Ltd, where you will be able to even ask further questions. In case you don't have any of the circulars we have sent on board, in case you want to register yourself to the course, in case you would like to ask for any types of inquiries, do send an email to learning/group1@mctconsultancy.com. I already wrote that email address into the chat group room. And please get in touch with us. We are more than happy to be your partners and help you in that respect. So we promised around 30 minutes webinar. We are reaching now 45 minutes, which is nice. There were very interesting questions. Thank you so much for participating. If there's no other questions which you would like to raise, guys, we only want to wish you all the very best. God bless you all. Keep yourself and your family safe, and hope to see you all on board very, very soon. Whatever you need, please get in touch with us. God bless you, and thank you very much. Have a good day.